Hello and welcome to another edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today I'm going back to the UK Open Sudoku Championship. We're going to have a look at another variant Sudoku, and this is a puzzle, as I explained before, at most Sudoku competitions, either nationally or internationally, there are only a few classic Sudoku puzzles, which are the ones with the standard rules that you see in every newspaper. A lot of the competition will be about variant Sudokus, which have extra constraints. And this is quite an unusual one here. It's called No Donkey Step Sudoku. It was worth 50 points in the competition, and I think that means that I'd have been looking to do it in 10 to 12 minutes to be at the sort of value and speed that I'm looking for. As you can see from the rules, as usual, the normal Sudoku rules apply, and then there's an additional constraint, as usual, again, but this time it's that no number can be repeated either 1 or 2 cells away in any of the 4 diagonal directions. I have no idea why that is a donkey step, but it means, for instance, that this 8 sitting here means that 8 cannot appear in this cell, because of that 8, and it can't appear in this cell, which would be 2 diagonal steps away. As you can see from the pattern of the grid, it's a lot of the given numbers are diagonally situated away from each other, and that kind of reduces the power of this constraint for this particular pattern. For instance, this 3 here, a lot of those donkey step cells are already filled in. There's a 2 and a 1 diagonally away from it, a 4 and a 5 and a 2 there. So in fact, that extra constraint only affects 1 cell for that 3. And as I say, those givens are disposed on diagonals quite a lot. So that's going to kind of give us a clue that this is one of the puzzles where the original Sudoku constraints, the ordinary ones, are the ones we probably need to start with. So some of the things we might notice here, there's 4s and 5s in the top boxes, 2 of them are given. And that means that in this top left box, there can be no 4s in the top 2 rows and no 5s in the top 2 rows because of the 5s here and the 4s here. So the 4 and 5 must both be in these cells in some order, and that might be useful later. Looking again at the 1s in these first 3 columns, the first 2 columns 1s are taken up, so the last 1 must be here. And what I'm doing here is I'm using red as my kind of pencil marks notation. I know that 1 in this box must be in one of those 2 cells, so I'm filling in 2 little red 1s, or 2 red 1s there to tell me that that's where the 1s are going to be. Now 8s, there are a few 8s disposed, so there's an 8 here and an 8 here. So the 8 in this box can't be in those rows, and because of this 8 at the top corner, the only place in this bottom left box where an 8 can go is this cell. Similarly, 8s up the right hand side, there's an 8 in column 9 and an 8 in column 8. The 8 in column 7 has to be here, again because of that top left 8. So now we might be able to finish off the 8s. Yes, in this center box, there can't be an 8 here, here, or here because of this 8. It can't be here or here because of this 8. That leaves these 3 cells. And now we're using the donkey constraint. This 8 prevents it being this cell because it's 2 diagonals away, and this 8 prevents it being this cell because it's 2 diagonal steps away. So that must be an 8. And then the only place left for an 8 in this box is here, and the only place left in for an 8 in this box is here. So we've done all the 8s, so we don't need to think about 8s again. And that's a decent start there. Now, given that these 4, 5 fill these 2 boxes, the only place for a 6 in this top left box, because of this 6, is these 2 cells at the top. So one of them must be a 6, and therefore the only place for a 6 in this box is one of the cells in the bottom row, so they have to be a 6. It's getting a bit harder to find much to go on. There has to be a 4 down here somewhere. We're really looking across the columns and rows for any 2 numbers in one set of boxes, either across or down. Oh, this is quite interesting, because the 2's going across the middle, one of those has to be a 2. Oh, it's not that helpful now, it doesn't really do much with this 2. But, you know, it's some progress, and it may be useful later. Now, this 7 here, there aren't many 7s, but there's an interesting thing with this 7. This 7 prevents the 7 in the middle box from being either here, here, or here. It also, because of the diagonal constraint, prevents it being here. And this 7, because of the diagonal constraint, prevents it being here. So 7 in the middle box must be either here or here. Now that doesn't necessarily seem all that useful immediately, but there is a way I think we can use it, and that is that how was I planning to use it? Oh yeah, no, 7 down here, this 7 again has an effect on this bottom left box. So it rules out that cell and that cell by the normal constraint, and it rules out that cell by the diagonal constraint. So 7 down here has to be either there or there. Now, let's presume that this 7 was the real number, was the correct 7. In that case, in that case, 7 couldn't be here by the normal constraint. So, yeah, this is the one I'll put an exclamation mark beside it. This is my presumption. So if there's a 7 there can't be a 7 here because of normal Sudoku. There can't be a 7 here because of the diagonal Sudoku. So 7 in this box must be in either column 1 or 2, and 7 in this box is either in column 1 or 2. So 7 in this box would be would have to be in column 3, and it couldn't be there because of the diagonal constraint. So that would make 7 in this cell. That would push the 6. Oh no, and 7 in that cell would mean that in this box now that I've moved to, there couldn't be a 7 here or here. There couldn't be a 7 here or here because of that 7 we've assumed. And there couldn't be a 7 here because of this 7. So that is impossible. So that 7 is not 7, or rather that box is not 7. And that means this box is 7. And that is a pretty complicated thing to come up with. I'm not saying it's the only way to crack this puzzle. And indeed, we may not finish just on the strength of that, but it's a really useful deduction if one can make it. So, looking at that 7 and that 7, we know that the 7 in this box has to be in the central column, has to be there. Now we know that 7 has to be up here, and these 2 cells have to be 7 and 6 in some order. And that means that the 1 in this top box has to go there now. The only remaining number for this cell is the 2. That finishes the 3 for that row. How were we doing with the 7s down here? No, it hasn't proved anything down there. But we've really got a bit of a start going now. And this might help us. So, well, it must help us. 8, 5, 3, 7, 4. Just looking for what else I can deduce as a result of what we've seen. I'm probably missing something. You may be spotting something fairly obvious from now. This 7 here meant that this cell and this cell are impossible, as are that cell and that cell. So 7 here has to now be in the end column. And that means, given that 7, that 7 here has to be in the middle column. still a bit, I'm still not certain which of these is the 7. There may be some other if-then deduction that's available. 8, 9, 4, 2, 7, 1, no, 5, 7, 2, 8, 9. So it seems that even having cracked what was, that's interesting, right, in these two cells, we know they can't be 6, 2, 8. We now know they can't be 4 and 7. From the vertical, we know they can't be 9 and 3. So they must be 1 and 5. So that's helpful. That means that 1 and 5 in this box both have to be in the bottom row. So in some order, these are 1 and 5. 9, 5, 8, 3. No, that's not finishing that off for me. 8, 5, 1, 3, 4. That could be a 6. Okay, the 5 there and the 5 there mean that in this box 5 could be here or here. It can't be here because of this diagonal from that 5. 5, 8, 2, 4, 9, 7. 1 can't be here or here because of that 1. It can't be here or here because of that 1 all the way over there. So it could be here or here. So we've got 1, 2, 5 and 7, 8, 9, 4. I can't quite rule that out as either 6 or 3. 4, 7, 6, 5, 8, 2, 2, 7, 8. Sorry, this is going a bit slow now. 8, 2, 7, 9. I do feel we're pretty close to getting going, but I haven't figured it out yet. Now that 3 down there is putting the 3 in this box either here or here. And there's and the 9 in this box must also be here or here. So those two boxes become 3 and 9 in some disposition, and that means that the 4 and 7 must be in those two in that order. 8, 7, 4, 1, 5, 9. So now we have 6, 2 there. That's given. That forces the 7 to be there. These two are 4 and 9 in some order. And the fact that one of those is a 9 fixes the 3 and the 9 here. So that's quite handy. That fed back into itself as a deduction. 4, 3, 6, 7, 8, 5, 1. I'd love to be able to rule that out as a 2 or a 9, but I can't. The 9 there and the 9 there mean that that's a 9. And that means that these 3 are 1, 5, 2. So that can't be a 2. 1, 5, 2, 8, 9, 4. So that must be at the 3 because of the 3 at the top. These are 6 and 7. And because of the diagonal constraint, we know that there's a 6 here or here. This box can't be a 6 because whichever way that worked, whichever way the 6 was here or here would rule out that as being a 6 by either the diagonal or the normal constraint. So that forces that to be a 6. That's the 7. That's the 6. This is a 2, 1 here. And I'm just basically working on filling boxes and rows by its standard Sudoku rules now. Across this row we've got 4, 5, 3, 8, 7, 6, 2. The 9 can't be in this cell because of the 9 down here, so it's 1, 9. And now we're probably just finishing off mostly under normal rules, although I can't see which way to dispose those 2 and 3. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 1, 2, 8, 9. No, 1, 5, 9, 7, 8. Okay, this is a 6 because it's the last number for that row. 7, 6, 8, 1, 9, 5. 2, 4, 3, but we don't know much about the order. 3 there is ruling out that cell as a 3 by the diagonal constraint. So 3 is there, 2 can't be there. So one of those is 2, and then 4 can't be in the first cell. And 4 can't be in the second cell because of that diagonal. So 4 is here, and that fixes 2 and 3. 9, so up the middle, that's the last cell to fill in, 4, 2, 8, 7. That 2 decides this 3, 2 at the top. 2, 6, 9, 7, 4, 8. Which one of these could be a 3? This one can't be a 3, so that's a 3. Don't know if that can be a 1 or a 5. 4, 2, 8, 3, 7. So 6 has to be in one of these 2 cells, and it can't be in this one because of this 6 and the diagonal constraint. So 6 is there. 1, 8, 6, 2, 7, 3, 9. Ooh. Oh, that can't be a 4 because there's a 4 in its box already. So that's 5. That's 4. That decides this 5 and 4. Finally, we've got the 7 and 6 decided by a 6 below. That 4 that we've just put in decides this 9, 4. And really, we're just finishing off now, so it should be fairly straightforward from here. It's just normal standard Sudoku elimination at this point. 5, 7, 3, 8, 4, 6, 1, 2, 9, 6, 2, 9, 4, 3, 8, 7. That's 5, that's 1, and this is 1, and this is 5. So there we are, we're done with the puzzle. A very interesting variant. It would obviously help to have a lot of experience in no donkey step Sudoku, but I've probably only done 3 or 4 puzzles before, so not that straightforward to see one's way through that, but quite rewarding if you can. And as I say, the key with variant Sudoku is to make some good judgments on how much to use the traditional Sudoku rules and at what point in the puzzle, and how much to use the constraint rules. So I hope that was entertaining. Obviously, one of the ways to improve at this would be to take the puzzle down from its original form and practice it, but I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope to see you again on Cracking the Cryptic. Bye now.